won't be pinned down. Love is Florence Nightingale and Coyote Trickster, who messes with us by way of his teachings about how we might possibly, grudgingly, awaken to the glory of life. Love is the warmth we feel in the presence of a favorite aunt, the kindness of a waitress, and the warmth of the hand that pulls us back to our feet when the loss of love has all but destroyed us. It is this stuff which any kid and most poets will tell you we experience in our hearts. Nonsense, you may say. Love arises and is regulated in a part of the brain called the amygdala. How right you are once again, and how happy that must make you, as it often does me, and why I so need the intervention of love. Do I want to be right, or to have a loving heart? And will this be on the test? My brain also controls my breathing, but man, do I love my lungs. On a 10-minute walk anywhere, from outside my gate with its broken latch to the loudest block in Brooklyn, to Garbage City in Cairo, love abounds and abides, flirts and weeps with us. It is there for the asking, which is the easy part. Our life's toughest work is in the receiving. Love presents most obviously in babies and kids being cuddled, yet also as patients with annoying humans we live or work with or are. We feel love upon seeing our favorite neighbors and first responders. We see it in fundraising efforts, peace marches, kindergarten classrooms, gardens. When flowers don't stir feelings of love in me, something is gumming up the works. In a 10-minute walk from home the other day, I passed a house with a new baby, another with a recent death, then 2 houses down a loud argument between a usually devoted couple, an English garden, an abandoned shack behind wood piles on a desolate lot, boxes of bees buzzing honey into existence, and terrified parents chasing after little kids careening away on their first 2-wheelers. I have lived in this neighborhood for nearly 2 decades, and I know every house on the block. I have nursed a woman and her small children through her way too early death, and been there for the family across the street when their 21-year-old child jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge. On our first date, I brought my future husband home to the house where 7 years earlier, my 19-year-old son had brought home his first child. We helped raise Sam's boy in the tiny grassy park right across the street. Nana and Neil are tree huggers. I stood in the same street with my attic son in 2011 with a sharpened pencil held near his throat and told him he could not come back until he stopped using, and then welcomed him back a month later with 10 days clean and sober, 12 years ago tomorrow. We in the hood isolated during COVID and walked 6 feet away from one another as lovingly as we could, waving. Waving can be love, as well as stop and chats and shouted compliments on their camellia bush. We did what we could to help one another and the very poor a few miles away. Our 90-year-old neighbor Jesse passes by on his walks every day. Way too many arrogant and ecstatic bicyclists race too fast past him and me on their way to the water district ponds, where flotillas of ducks paddle by and egrets stand looking like Bernie Sanders with their unruly haircuts and posture. Our dogs had their last meals of hot dogs and ice cream here in the corner park on their way to whatever awaits us all, breaking our hearts forever until we brought our next dogs here to meet the team. We stood outside on days before elections and promised each other that the unthinkable was not going to happen, and then when it did, we met here again the next day, clutching our heads. A few minutes' walk from my front door, unhoused people come to sit on a memorial bench in the shade kitty corner from the park, one of whom is my woolly friend Ben. The neighbors pile giveaways on the bench, clothes, egg poachers, and baby gear, infuriating some neighbors who vent on next door about the unsightly mess, but a blessing to others, i.e. to me. This bench itself was carved by